Okay, so apparently the YouTube channel is Scott Mott, even though, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's showing up as my name. Okay. Cool, I'll share the links right now. Let's get this going.
Oh, I like the Dominator. Rune.
Alright, guys, I'll be right back. I'm just going to shoot out the invites to all my online friends. We'll get this
Okay.
going here in about, I don't know, 5 minutes tops. Sorry for the wait, sorry for the confusion. We will build. Alright, one viewer, yay! Is that one you, B?
Yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
Dang, that delay is off. I just checked the delay. It's like a good 10 seconds. What?
Yeah, it's usually about 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, let me invite all online friends and we'll get this going. Alright, almost there. Can you guys still hear me? Alright, nitrous. Is that wig finally back from a 30-minute cigarette? Okay, cool. I'm just sending out the last invites right now. So, yeah, I think you mean Explosion Rocks there, Hernandez.
Wait, you know what's where?
Link is in the crew chats. Okay, here we are.
Ah,
Let's do this. 6 minutes in, see if I can get it surface done before an hour goes by. All right, so I already went in and did a couple of these, all these options. I'm just gonna go in here and place the trigger. Right there. Okay. So now, to build the platform, obviously you want to use largest props available. They're going to be 28 by 48 building blocks. I'll just set them to green. So if the way you build this platform, whichever way it's oriented, is going to be kind of like the direction of the track. So just go right above all this shit right here. Okay.
They're not gonna build it that far above the. Oh, now it's going up wrong.
Now you snap it in. Always go into advanced options, override position, check the box. Now what I like to say is at this point you're free to move about the cabin. You could literally be on the other side of the map and still hit X to place this.
You have a New Hampshire, don't you?
Oh, Loudon's on the list for RNCS Season 2. I will be building it. That'll be a very easy build. Okay, so why I'm in override here. Every time you snap a prop together, you can never, ever trust the snap. The height is always going to be slightly off. So after you snap any prop, you always want to go into override. You want to make sure no seams.
Let's see.
smooth.
Oh yeah, it'll take me like 5 minutes to build this, and I'll get going on a corner piece.
Excuse the yawn.
Is that B for
No,
bad
that's not good.
one hanging out with you? Yeah, I'm actually doing this live stream for him to teach him how to build a NASCAR track proper. Each track for nice, nice. Oh yeah, so I'm just gonna do it's gonna be a small track. Something quick.
I'm gonna try
6.425
and
mile.
follow these steps.
Damn, that's a pretty big track. Okay, so there's just general platform and area. Kind of build the track. Now this will be probably a Bristol shaped kind of track just because it is smaller. So what you want to do here, is it a circle? Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, so there's a little trick I like to do when you're placing checkpoints, and that is switch it on over to night. That way you can see the contrast of the checkpoints, but I'm not worried about really centering it or anything right now. This is just going to be a general guideline. So get it lined up here, world heading a little bit. Just going to place it somewhere in the middle where these building blocks are. More about right here. Yeah, I will be building Darlington. That's actually my next build for RNCS Season 2. It's a couple weeks on the schedule. This Sunday's Las Vegas Motor Speedway, made by WIG. Definitely the best Vegas out there, hands down, in the LG Retro Custom. Alright, so I'm just going to come out here. So now I'm just going to kind of picture a half circle where this corner will go. Put one right here at the beginning of the turn. And then just put one in the middle, essentially. What this is going to do is just make sure that it's going to be long enough if you're building a... Obviously, that's off. If you're building a short track, you want to lay out the checkpoints to make sure it'll be a minimum publishable distance of 0.62 miles. You could also do like this little trick right here, where you use this building block, try to line up the camera. That's pretty good right there. And then you can just move straight over. Basically, you can just go in a straight line, get it all centered up. All right, so once I'm done with these, and we, see it's already big enough. So that was kind of unnecessary, but I'll just delete those real quick. Switch it back to daytime. All right, now we're going to start the build. So basically, center of this, which...
I'll be right back.
Okay. Only problem making the track is... Yeah, the prop limit is always a fucking problem. Always. 150 just ain't enough, like when myself or when WIG, when we recreate like a NASCAR track, we always have to, shorten it, maybe lighten up the banking a little bit, but like Michigan, for example, there's no way you're going to build that perfect to scale. No way. Okay, so we're going to start building this in the center. I'm just going to change this color so we know exactly where that center line is. And the whole purpose of building it on this building block platform here is so that you can use these nice lines as a reference, okay? Yeah, I mean, at least 300 would be great. Even 200 will help out a lot because a lot of my tracks, like, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but a few of them, you get to a point where you just can't even do what you want to do with it. Like Los Santos 500, it's a pretty lightly banked NASCAR track, but I barely had enough for like a grandstand and a couple other decorative props, so I couldn't even build the pits on that one. So, stunt track wide straight is kind of like the general, rule of thumb prop to use for any NASCAR corner. Cool thing about it is wide enough to where single checkpoints will fit on it perfectly. One single circular will fit on it perfectly. All right, so now we get to placing. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use this side, get this lined up world heading. Looks a little off, so I'm just going to go in here and override rotation. Cool thing about rotation is you can still use the prop, but you can minutely orientate it. So how these work is X is going to be pitch, Y will be roll, Z will be world heading, which means you do not have a yaw once you've done this. But we just need world heading. Looks pretty good right there. We're using the center here. Stick it right there. Now I'm going to bank this at, what'd you say, 18 degrees?
Yeah, that was my Nashville. 18.
Now you see how I go to the positive number and it's doing it in the wrong location, right?
Yeah.
We just
have to subtract 18.
Yeah, subtract 18 off of 360, which would be 348. Wait, no, 342, right?
342.
Yeah, 342. Well, we use 5 different cars. I could actually send you the link. It'll take me just a second here, chicken. Give me a second. So we use 5 different cars. We use the Sultan RS, Pisswasser Dominator, Sprunk Buffalo, LG Retro Custom, and the Drift Tampa. Now, these are the 5 hand-selected vehicles that we've chosen that are the most realistic when it comes to stock car look, that NASCAR look. So, we focus on the look and the feel being completely accurate, like the most realistic NASCAR experience you can find on GTA Online, no doubt. And it is because we are so stringent with our regulations. We only race super high quality, well-made crew tracks. All right, so I'll share this to you right now, chicken, if you wanted to share it over to Steven, that's fine. You will have to register on here. It only takes a minute, but if you see, like, this is every single detail about our... So it usually runs from 6... pre-race inspections get started from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific every Sunday. We do pit stops, we do cautions and all major contact incidents, single file cautions and starts. Okay, there you go, chicken. That's that. If you want to share that to him, that's fine. So what, 342, right? Now we're going to override position. The last one will be your height. I'm going to drop this down. So thank God the prop templates don't lift anymore when you set them. They used to, which I figured out it's actually a 3/10 discrepancy. So if we were adjusting this, let's say the height, hypothetically speaking, if the height we're at right here is perfect, we got these rumble strips sunken in, maybe the white line if we can. What you would do is you would set your axis prop out here that's going to swing the corner into place 3/10 higher. So it would be 33,450. Sorry about that. Yeah, I got on 720. I never had any issues before, but try to turn the Wi-Fi devices off. Okay. So we're going to lower this till, ideally you want just the white line. It gives a real clean look all the way around. Okay. Something like that. Now these building blocks, as you can tell, they are a touch off. I guess I was in a hurry there. I'm going to switch it over to local, which is usually better for moving the prop around. We're just going to match some lines up right there. Don't need to push it out there. We got a lot of room. Just going to put it just like that. So that's 18 degrees. That's a pretty vicious banking right there. Okay, so now we're going to get our axis prop set into place. You can use a variety of different props. I would say something, that's small like this would be good. Even one of these, change the color. Just so you have that nice contrast. And it's a square object, so you can easily use it to get your line perfectly here. But I usually use the container. I'm a creature of habit, so I'll just go in here. You can use this right here, the cement bag palette. But I usually use this one. Get it lined up world heading here. We look pretty good right there. Yeah, so now I'm going to get it fairly centered here. I'm not going to fuck with the height at all. I'm going to override position, make sure it's in local. Because if it wasn't in local, so world is going to kind of just do this diagonal up and down. Well, in this instance, it doesn't. It just depends on where you're at in the world and how you're oriented. But 9 times out of 10, local will be your best bet. We're going to push this in where we can use the line of this banking as a reference. Now we're just going to shift it over, that middle slot right there. Perfect. Now we're just going to shift it out. So I'm going to show 2 different methods here. I'm going to show how to make, I'm not going to build the entire track, but I am going to just do one corner and some straights. I will show you two different techniques, one of which will be how you can get the banking and the corners built and have your straightaways come out the same exact way. Show you a couple different options with props, and so that'll be on this side. This side I'll show you how to just keep it straight at that 18 degrees all the way around. On this side I'll transition it down to a 3-degree flat and then show you how to build the transitions all perfectly and stuff. So this looks like a decent corner shape right here. It's basically going to go from right here all the way around to right here. Line up perfectly with that. So I'm good with that. I'm going to place that. I'm going to go in here to templates and create one. Now this is crucial. When you're doing a swinging arm template, which I did not create this, I learned it from Max Torque 87. This is a very common thing for, stunt tracks and crazy corkscrews and stuff like that. So what you do here is this first prop you select in the template is crucial. This is the axis prop or the pendulum prop. It is the one prop that the entire prop template will hinge upon. It will be the one prop that everything in the template rotates based on. So we're going to select this first. Select this one here to get over here. Because if you don't select that, it's too big of a gap, so it won't let you select it. So you have to select this building block to get to the banked piece, then select the banked piece, then deselect this with square, and now you just have this and this selected. So we'll save that. Whenever you make a template, you always want to go back and make sure it's exactly what you ordered, and you can kind of get an idea how you can make a absolutely perfect 180-degree bank surface here, okay? So now since we have that made, and watch, I'll place it just to show you, prop templates don't lift anymore. That's going to stay exactly where we want it with this white line sticking out. Now I'm going to delete this template. I'll delete this prop. Now here's another trick. You want to go top-down view. Now keep in mind, when you are doing a swinging arm and you're placing a corner, you do not want to touch your camera like this. You want to leave it in this top-down view and only zoom in or out. You do not want to fuck with where this axis prop is. So to get, let's just say, hypothetically, we had that banked piece right on the edge. It was perfect, contouring our little building block platform we have here built for the track. So if we did have that perfect, you wouldn't delete this prop because you can go in here to props and scroll through to get the last prop placed, which is going to be this container. We are going to spin it a little bit, which I did tell you not to do. Make sure it's centered here. Now we can delete this. Okay, now we can delete this and go ahead with placing our corner. Now you see it's a little off. You can kind of see that line on the left. All right, so what you want to do is stay 90 degrees in one direction. You can use the lines down there as a reference. Actually look pretty good where it was right there. So from experience, I can tell you the higher bank surfaces are going to take a lot more props. Like this one will probably take 40 or 50 props just to get in. So you place this, press square to delete that container down below, and then you just move this out and replace it. Now, what you want to do is you want to use those rumble strips as reference. So you got 2 of them right there. That's probably going to be good right there. There's like 2 and a little chunk of white. Place it, square to delete this. You can actually, so you can use the lines. You can see how they're perfect. See, that one's a little small, so I'll press triangle on this to delete that last piece I placed, and just go back into it and try it again. I don't really care if they're that perfect because I'm just trying to show you guys how to do it. If you're building it yourself, you definitely want to make sure the gaps are all right. See, they look a little off. Now, ideally, to get a perfectly smooth surface, you do want these to be like the very first part of it, it'll be perfectly smooth, I promise you that. But the second part of it, you know, where the lines are going to vary like that, you want it to all be even. And you want to really take the time to make sure that every piece you place is exactly the same distance away from the last piece that you placed. Want to get all those lines perfect there. Now see, once you start getting into the corner, you can actually see the gaps. So that kind of helps. Now this obviously took way too many props. If you have a lighter banked surface, it will take, you know, a lot less to build it and get it smooth, for sure. If you're starting off building tracks like this, you want to go lighter banking. So right there, you see that's about 90 degrees. We're going to place that. Now you leave that prop there. Now you see how that was off. So you could just get centered back on this prop by simply scrolling back through props that were placed until you get back on there, and then you can delete that container and make the changes. So I totally noobed it here, guys. I built it on the wrong side. So noob of me. It's fine. I can just snap a couple on. I mean, that took me about 5 minutes to build that corner. I didn't do it perfectly like I usually do, but it's still pretty fucking smooth. Now, how you can tell it's smooth is you want to look at the rear bumper and just see. Is it bouncing? No, not really. Get into this section. Yeah, it's bouncing a little bit, but for the most part, that's a pretty perfectly smooth NASCAR track corner. So let me show you.
It's track now.
See it? So you can also turn to the side like this and just look at the tires. See how they're not really bouncing at all. Bounce a little bit there. But for the most part, they stay true and they do not bounce. That's what you want when you're building a track. Okay, so now real quick, I'm just going to snap on a couple filler pieces here, and then I'll show you how to do the straightaway here, and then I'll show you how to do the transition there. Doesn't really matter about the color. You can always change the color, and if you didn't know that trick, as long as you have prop stacking off, you can hover over any prop, L1 or R1, easily change the color. Pretty simple stuff there. So again, advanced options, override position, use override, check the box, zoom in, make sure you get no seams whatsoever. Yeah, that looks pretty good. But you can also shift it in a little bit, so when you see that kind of thing happening, you know, it's always going to be perfect whenever the colors start merging into each other there. Again with the override. Just doing this super, super quick just to try to show you how it's done. Okay, so now that we have that done, I think that'll probably be big enough. We'll just do one more real quick. You there, B?
Yeah, I'm here.
You with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm confused as fuck, but I don't do NASCAR tracks anyway, so I'm just gonna leave that to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you can use it to do like crazy, stunt-made
I like
spirals with like.
banking, so
Well, yeah, you
yeah.
can do the same technique with the swinging arm here. Like, say if this was completely vertical and like facing towards us, instead of
Yeah.
deleting this prop every time, you would place it. I mean, I don't think it's gonna let me, but I could try to show you right now. But it's how you see all those crazy corkscrews and spirals. Basically, they place it, and then instead of deleting it, they just like rotate it and place it, rotate it and place it.
Yeah.
So that's how they do like the crazy spirals and shit like that. And the side of this will probably be actually like a perfect fucking wall ride. It'll be like a step up trophy truck race kind of thing.
I'm thinking about doing airport track with some bankings. So
You see
it's
how?
not just
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, but you see how you can just totally make a nice corkscrew or wall ride or whatever.
yeah.
Be careful if you ever do something like this and you're deleting all these. When you're placing these, you could actually go in and lock delete them. It's an advanced options. You see how that made like a perfect kind of corkscrew?
Sterling.
Yeah. You can use that technique for a lot of different applications for sure. Okay. Yeah, like I was saying, if you wanted to lock delete something, it's really, really simple. Let's just say we were going into the building blocks here. Let's say you were doing the, the platform underneath. When you go to place this, you just go in here and set this to on. And you can still go into override if you want. Or you can just simply place it. Now I'm spamming square. Okay, so I'm holding square right now. See, it's not doing anything. I mean, I'm pressing it, spamming it, it's doing nothing. So if you have prop stacking off, you can edit a prop. So you can pick it up. Now you just go back in here and turn this lock delete off. And you have to place it again. The lock delete on or off. Place it. Now you can delete it. It's that simple. So tight turns like Bristol. So basically the size of this turn is going to depend on how far out you push this axis prop, which in this case is the short green container. So basically if I had this, half the distance in here to that banked piece, this corner would be half the size, it would be a little tight turn like this. Well, for Bristol, I used, the track there as a good reference to get my, my props and all that the same, like measured it out and all that stuff. So I'll show you guys a couple different techniques here. Switch this to black. So now, if you were doing like same banking all the way around, you would just snap on to this straightaway piece. Of course, you want to override because you can't leave it like that. So, cool thing to mention, when you're in override position and you have a prop tilted like this, in local, see this first value is actually going to adjust it in a slot. That's a good thing to keep in mind. Another thing, if you're holding triangle to do the fast adjust, stay away from these. These are prop template. If you press triangle on one of them, it will delete it. It will be catastrophic. So I just try to get this right where the wood is. I'm going to push it in a little bit so I can see that it's perfectly in there. And I'm just going to go like this. Now you see how right there, it's like the colors match each other. Now you can use this as a reference. You see, that's pretty damn right on. So you simply just place that. You can do a banked corner on the end of that, or you can just make a longer straight. Simply, now, trick here, I'm going to change this color to gray temporarily, just so when I do place it in right here, we'll ever go, there it is, I can see that they're connected perfectly. Now again, use this building block. That's going to be your reference. Right there is going to be pretty damn good. No seams or nothing. And then you can always just change this back. Stop stacking off, change it back to black. That's kind of how you can do the straights. Same banking all the way around. Transition perfect, no bump, no nothing. Decent little straightaway right there. I'm going to save it real quick. Your ad here, 500. Well, I do have Dover, so yeah, you should check that out, bro.
Wait, did Wiggs make that, or did you make that?
I made Dover. Okay, so here's another method here. Now, this is only good on the very short tracks. Very, very short tracks, because this is going to be super, super prop heavy. Now, you see right there with 2 props, I was able to make the whole straightaway. If you're doing this method, it's going to take you like 10 or maybe even more. So you want to try to stay away from this method, but you can simply snap this on. Not so simple, obviously. Let's try it on this other side. Yeah, so what it is because we already snapped one onto there, it makes it dead. So you literally cannot snap anything back on there, which is fucking retarded, but hey, that's Rockstar for you. So see, I flipped it around.
Well, you could try and snap it from the one black piece over there that you have left.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you could snap it onto here, but I think this end again is dead because you've already snapped and override and set it. The only other option, only thing you could do, it's not going to make a difference. Proximity snapping is really what you want. Triggered is going to cause problems because the square button also deletes props.
Yeah.
So you might inadvertently delete some shit and be very angry at yourself. So the only other option here is you could do something like that where you snap that on. It'll be the same banking, but you just got to adjust the world heading, which is the Z value and override rotation. Get that all lined up perfectly and then place it in there, which is tough, but you can also go like this. Here's another tip and trick. Prop stacking off. Let's just say we'll make it like as wide as the road. That's good right there. So this won't snap onto the end like we want it. It's being difficult because that's how Rockstar rolls. So what you can do is you see how now this is a trick you can use in many different races, not just NASCAR tracks. So you see how when I hover, prop stacking has to be on, because if it's off, it's going to delete, it's going to make it invisible because it's on another prop. So you see how when I hover over it, it maintains that same angle. Lift it up, it goes back to flat. But when it's on this prop, it will keep that angle. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to rotate the world heading. That looks pretty good. Now here's the trick. You switch the rotation type. Now when you move back or you lift it up or down, it's going to be the same exact angle. So you can use that method to get it right in there and override. Always override. Never trust a snap. Never, ever, ever trust a snap. Always override. So, yeah, you could use that and override it and get the height right and make sure it's all perfect, no seams. And that will at least give you a small prop that you can snap onto, that it's not dead. And then if you snap a larger piece over here, you can simply just shift it in there and then delete the gray from underneath it. So that's how you do that. So I'm going to exit out and reload real quick.
Yeah, that stream is off by a lot.
Yeah, it's like 10 or 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, is this bullshit one? What is this? I don't know if that's the one, but there's a test one in here where it has, yeah, like you can see it has some crazy shit in there. So now I'll show you how to do the proper transitions. They're actually really, really simple. You know, for me, I enjoy building a NASCAR track that's more realistic. There is no NASCAR track out there ever that is the same banking all the way around. Just never. It's not there. It doesn't exist. So building a track like this, while it will save you a lot of props and it will be a lot easier, and I would suggest it for, you know, your first time trying to build a NASCAR track, it's not going to be ideal. You know, this is not realistic. So we're going to go from here. We're going to build a transition here. So how to build the transition?
This is where I'm gonna have to
pay attention. Yeah, this is where you're going to have to pay attention. So you could snap a prop on here for a reference, but you really don't need to, because this building block is what we're using the whole thing as a reference point. So I could literally snap a building block onto this side of this building block, angle it, and then push it into where it needs to go, and it'll be perfectly oriented world heading wise. So to build a transition, a tail transition like myself or Wig Splitter does, what you do here is you delete a couple of these. So instead of it coming straight out like this, you're going to delete this to where it comes out. Depends on how far you have these spaced, but usually it's going to be 2 to like 5. So that was 2 right there, 3. That looks pretty good right there. So you're looking at this edge and the angle and where it's going to shoot across the track. Okay? So that was like, what, 4 pieces or whatever right there. So we'll use the same technique over there with the building blocks, but we'll do something a little differently. So now we should be able to snap right onto that tail piece. Tail transition is just what I call it. You can call it whatever you want. Okay, so it's not working. You see that, right? So like I was showing you over here, props snapping off, stacking on. See, when I lower down on this, you can see it takes that same angle. Now when I move in between different pieces in the banking, it's going to copy those same angles as well. So you're just going to want to go to the very end piece. That's what we're trying to transition. Now while you have it over here, you can use world heading, and you can kind of use those blocks as a reference there. That looks pretty good right there, but you want to basically have this coming at a straight angle. So now I'm going to lock it into place by switching the rotation type. Now for this transition, it's going to be really small. You know, you're only going to want maybe something like this, something smaller, because you got to think, you want it to just go to that edge there, which will represent like where the straightaway is. You don't want this too big, because you are going to have a little excess hanging off. So to get that kind of where it needs to go, advanced options, override, use override position. Remember, don't hold triangle when you're over here. If you want to fast adjust it, go over here where you're not centered on the prop. And again, use this bottom side. Obviously, you see that gap. Okay, so now here's another trick. I'm glad it did this. Sometimes I'm glad when it fucks up, because I can use that to teach you guys. So you can see, no matter how many times I click it, it's not going to get perfect, right? This is where you switch to world. Now, when you switch to world, watch that gap. Look, see that? That's how you know you're right. Now leave it there, switch back to local, and then basically wrong value, second value. Second value here will move it over. Yeah, then you can just move it over to where it's just barely in there. There'll be no gap or seam or anything right there. You see it's coming straight out. So this is a 0 to a 18. Watch how bumpy this is. Oh God, yeah, that was just disgusting. Okay, so the transition piece always comes out at the same angle, okay? Now you could use, you know, like I said, the raised stunt track piece, the same piece for the corner, but that's gonna take, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna take like 5 props just to get it out there. And you wanna think about saving props at all costs. So now we're gonna go in here, we're gonna do this straightaway. Again, you can use these sides right here to snap onto. That's going to be just fine and dandy. Now we're going to override. We're going to shift this way over here. The key with this is the edge of this straightaway should go in to right here where this transition meets, okay? We're just going to move this in a lot. Basically, I'm going to match up the back side of it where the top of them rumble strips are, roughly. Then I'm going to go into override rotation. I'm going to go into the second value, which will be roll. And I'm going to spin it over to exactly 3 degrees. Which those are just the numbers I'm using here. For an example, my Zilla Bowl 500, short track super speedway. Did that with Smeekin Bowls as a little collaboration and share play. That one's at a 25 degree banking in the straightaways. And a 16 degree in the straights, 25 in the corners. And why? Because there's exactly a 9 degree. So if this was 16 and this was 25, you could do one transition at 19, the next one at 21 or 22, and then there'll be exactly 3 degrees in between each other, in between the 16 here and the 25 here. So it's all about the numbers for sure. So we got this over, you know, somewhat where it needs to go. Move it over a little more. Now I'm going to go into rotation. Second value is rolled. This will be the exact degree of banking, whatever you set this to. So we're going to go to 3. That'll be exactly a 3 degree banked straightaway, okay? I'm going to go back into position, and now we're going to shift it over. As you can see, moving props this distance takes some time. One might think of the Jeopardy tone playing in the background.
Better not play this, it'll get copyright struck or something.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a 15 degree discrepancy between this 3 degree banked straightaway and the 18 degree banked corner. That's fine. That's just fine. Okay. So I can tell you right now, this is not going to be wide as we need it. You want to match the same width here. So you want to kind of imagine a straight line from there out to there. It looks fairly right on, but as you can see, we want to be basically right there. Now, actually, I guess I told you wrong. You could shift this over to this part, because this is technically where the corner starts. Again, be careful when you're holding triangle and you're near these template pieces. So yeah, I'm just going to shift this over, because I forgot to mention that when you put the transitions on there, it's going to kind of, you're going to want to use a transition where it'll just start right here and go back to the end. Alright, so we went a little far here. Basically, like right there is where you want it. Right where that corner starts. Something like that right there, okay? This will be plenty wide, and as you can see, hey, this transition is all of a sudden is not big enough. Shit happens. You roll with the punches and make changes. As you can see, that's a very, very rough transition. What we can do here is we can simply snap this on, and then what I'll do is I'll just move it over. Move it over to right outside that little piece there. Use a bigger piece to transition it. No problem. And another thing too is if see if this transition, if I was to push that in to right here, you could actually delete this prop and it'll just merge perfectly. But you would have to push this piece in where you see it kind of do a bubble effect where it meets this. And then when you go to delete this, obviously stay on the rumble strip so you don't delete something else. But prop stacking off and then hover over and hit X, pick it up. And then when you pick it up, go over here and make sure that there's still no gap here where it comes into it. Yeah, basically just move this out to where it's outside that wall. And we should be able to use this as a reference to snap back. Something like that. So now we should be able to just delete this. I'm going to change this color real quick too, so we have a kind of a contrast. Okay, so as you can see, we're going to have to use that. We're going to have to use the biggest piece. We just snap right onto that. Never that easy with Rockstar. Never. Well, it looks like it actually snapped right on there. All right, we'll override and just check it. Yeah. Wow, okay, so we got lucky there. Again, check the edge. It doesn't line up magnificently, which 9 times out of 10 it won't. That looks pretty good, but like I said, just shift it in. It doesn't do the little color glitch thing. Shift it over to world and just fuck with it until you get it to do that. Not going to do that. So just for all intents and purposes, I'm going to just leave it like that. I'm going to push it down. I would never build any of my NASCAR tracks with such haste. I always try to make sure I build a quality product and take my time and do it right. Because how I like to say it is, if you don't do it right, there's no point in doing it. If you're going to build some rough, terrible track, what's the point of building a track? I mean, do it right or don't do it at all, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I figured out this method and taught myself kind of how to build NASCAR tracks just by, you know, looking up creator tutorials, and I found Max Torque, and he had the little swinging arm template thing, and I just kind of took that and ran with it. So that'll be a really great transition right there. And as you can see, it does stick out. So you might want to think about doing tubes for walls, maybe at least on the straightaways, just so you can kind of hide that excess. But this is what the transition will look like. You'll basically be on the bank surface before you even enter the corner. And that's really what you want. Alright, so from there I'm just going to snap one more on here so it'll just have a good speedway feel to it, because I am not going to build the whole track. You know, I've done live streams on my other channel where I did build the whole track actually in 55 minutes, which is how long I've been streaming right now. I was able to build the track surface at Bantam Canyon 500. It's my latest NASCAR build. But I also did show him like some other things with grandstands and how to do some walls, which I'm going to show you guys here. Right after I'm done with this transition, I'll take maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. I'll show you how to build different style walls using different sizes, different techniques with different you know, style props, and catch fencing and all that. Ideally, whenever you build walls, you want to make catch fencing. I'll teach you how to do that here in just a bit. All right, so for these transitions, now we're going to switch the color here to get it where we can see that contrast. Kind of line it up there. So we're going to have to use these big ones, unfortunately. So like I said, if this is 3 degrees, it's okay because your world heading actually, it keeps when you go out of here, which is kind of cool. That's the one thing it does keep. So this is a 3-degree banking. This is an 18. We're going to do a little bit of math here. That's right. I'm breaking out a calculator. %4 battery. I think I can get it done. Okay, so obviously you don't need to do 18 minus 3 because you know that's a 15-degree discrepancy, okay? But what you do, you want to do 15 divided by 3, which is obviously 5, which means you're going to have to build, 5 transition pieces in here. So you basically just add 3 onto here. So this will be 6, then 9, then 12, then 15. So yeah, 6, 9, 12, 15. It'll be 4 transition props per piece, okay? So let me show you how to do that. So again, the world heading is where it needs to be. I'm just going to get this kind of generally where it goes. Switch the rotation type to lock it in. Go into advanced options, override rotation. See, that's exactly at an 18 degree, which is exactly what that banking is at. So let's start from the bottom and go up. I'll start with the 6 degree. And I'll show you here in just a second why I come up with the number of 3 in between each one. Now look, you might have to make some adjustments here. Not a big deal. Now you override position. Now, here's the thing is you want to adjust one thing at a time. So obviously the pitch, which is this first value, is way off. So we're going to adjust it just a little bit. Go back in here to get that all adjusted right. So it seems that this is, I don't know how this is the same banking because this is 3. You saw me put it there, right? But it's registering it as the same exact degree. So it's fine.
Well, that's what it's Ruxer for you, so.
Yeah. So we'll just add 3 onto this. We'll just go up to 6. Which is what it should have been to begin with, so please forgive me for my stupid mistake. Yeah, I'm only human. Yeah, I make mistakes every day. All right, so now you see the pitch is still a little off. It's pretty fat on this side, but it's pretty skinny over here. So we're just going to go back in here and adjust this until we get it looking right. Now, if it doesn't look perfectly right, see how that's kind of where it was before, skinnier on the right, fatter on the left. You can use the world heading right here, last value of Z. And now you can see that's pretty spot on, right? So the trick with this is you want to make sure this back end is hanging off where the straightaway will end. And we go back into rotation. Like I said, if it's at an angle, when you're in rotation, that first value will adjust it as though it's in a slot. Now I'm just going to lower this down until it's hidden. I like to use the squares as a reference. That's, you know, a decent like 1 square amount right there plus the little excess. Now that we got it right where it needs to go, we're going to check it again. It still looks a little skinnier on that side. We're going to adjust the world heading just a touch. That looks pretty good. Going to place it. So now you'll see, this is why I come up with a 3 degree. This is why when you're building transitions, you have to go 3 degrees apart. What I'm on right here is a 0 degree flat surface. Is a 3 degree. Now you see the transition in between it's as perfect as it's gonna get. You know, you have to save props wherever possible, but this transition right here is gonna be perfect. So the same kind of thinking behind that same logic is when you make this next one 3 degrees above it. Look, oh, that's nice. Still rough getting on the higher one. Still rough getting on the higher one, but it's fine. We're gonna fix it right now. We'll leave that gray just to make it, you know. Okay, so we'll change this one to yellow. Whatever, it's fine. So now we're gonna make sure our world heading is right. That looks pretty good, but it's okay. We'll have to probably adjust it again. So now again, we'll just stay on the high side, lock it in. Go in here to rotation. We'll bring this to 9 degrees. We'll adjust our pitch. Just like that. Maybe switch the world heading a little bit, get it nice and even. That looks pretty good. And now to save time, since override rotation, you could still have the prop where it needs to go. You could do something like this where you pull it back to where it's kind of where it needs to go, and then you just override the position and drop it down. Something like that.
Yeah, did my mic have like a lot of static or something?
No, you're good, man. So with here, you want to hide the right
okay,
side.
I just had to
Yeah, you're good, man. So you want to hide the tail or the little excess over here. But right here, you want to make sure that this is good as well. We're going to shove that in where it's nice. Still make sure we're good over here. As long as it's going in a straight line, you're good. So now I'm going to make it disappear since we're looking pretty good. And I'm just going to try to split that difference. That looks pretty good right there. Place that. Now I'm going to switch this next one to another color so we can yet again see the contrast. And get this to where it's pretty much where it needs to go. And do the same thing. We're going to switch this to, so we had 6 and then 9, so this will be 12. This is basically how I do all my NASCAR tracks with the different levels of banking. In general, I mean, NASCAR tracks will take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to build, just depending on, you know, different variables. If it's, you know, banking all the way around, same level, or building transitions. How many transitions you got to build, you know, like other things like what kind of walls are you going to use. Okay, that looks fairly decent right there. Now we're just going to lower it down. So the problem that like I said, I make mistakes, but I'll teach you guys. So how I only did the one building block on this original transition, the thing is each time you put one here, it's going to cut into that same space. So basically from here to where the top of the transition is going to be, it's going to be that one square. So I kind of fucked up there. In general, you want these transition pieces at least like a half square in length. So if you're doing like 3 transitions like here, you would just do a little math and just do, you know, a square and a half, like a whole square and a half, which will be 3 small squares. Okay, I did fuck up a little bit here. The transition will still be pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be perfect because, like I said, you want that initial one to be much larger to account for the other ones cutting into it, really. We're going to have to do it like that, unfortunately. not going to be perfect, but it should still be pretty nice.
Now that's a smooth transition. That's smooth.
See how it just kind of gradually pushes the car? That's what you want to look for. That's right, I'm getting driving skills just being the creator. Yeah, there wasn't much bump, much play or travel in the suspension there. It just kind of went like it's supposed to. Alright, so now I'll show you a couple methods with walls. So tubes are great, okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. With tubes, it's very finicky, okay? Since they do have a curve to them, they are a nice prop to use, but what makes them super nice is this right here. This extra long piece is so fucking long. You see how much longer it is than each of those building blocks. So you can use this to, do the straightaway and save a lot of props. So let's just say the middle was somewhere in right here. Okay. So really you want the tube to be kind of at the edge here of that transition, because you will have to do a small piece on this angle to get it up to there. But I'll just show you real quick. So did you see how it was? Did you see how it goes down to the thing there? But you want it to be up here, so you just click it up with L1 one time. Get it kind of where it needs to go. You can adjust world heading if you need to. Obviously you will. We're going to get it right in there. Now we're going to override position. Override is key to anything. I promise you, any quality track creator out there uses override very, very, very heavily. Like me, for example, any track I've ever made, I use override for every single prop. Besides, for example, the corners in a NASCAR track like you've seen here, all other props I use override. Okay, so we look like we're kind of where we need to be there. We're going to push it back to where it just hides that white. Perfect. And we're going to go down here and make sure it's biting into the white a little bit. Have it sticking through the tube. So that's good right there. So the key with this, okay, if you lower this down to where this seam is the only thing on the bottom of the track, this seam represents the complete, vertical spot in the tube. It's right where these two angles meet, right in the middle. That seam will be completely vertical. In general, vertical walls for NASCAR is a bad idea, especially in the corners. It's a bad idea. Now for these straightaways, to save props, you can do it with the tube, but you just want to make sure that if you use a building block here to continue on the walls, you're going to want to make it catch fencing, which is going to make this a little tricky, because you're going to have to swing it to where the end of it is just biting into that tube a little bit, and then the end is right up here at the top of the fucking surface. You want to hide those rumble strips too. But let's just, for example, if you did use these like as corners in the walls, it sucks that it's such a huge prop right next to it, but you want to lift it. You want to basically lift it to where, you see where this next seam kind of starts right there? That's where you want it, because that one seam below, that one, this piece right here below the seam, you see how it's kind of angled in a little bit? That's what you want for catch fencing. So I'll just quickly place this and show you. Move this in where it's right here at the edge. like that. Now we'll place it. Now, as you can see, what I was telling you, it is a humongous, humongous prop. So, see how it does kind of angle in a little bit there. But if you were to place that same tube over there, you would cut off most of that mountain view, which is terrible. NASCAR tracks in general are pretty boring, so you want to try to keep the scenery alive wherever you can. So let's just say to save props, you could use a building block here. It's not going to save any props really. But let's just say you wanted to use something like this to bridge that gap, okay? You can actually snap it right on the tube to give you a nice reference where you need to be. And then you simply go in here, you want to override position so it stays put. But then override rotation, like I said, pitch, roll, world heading. So, as you can see, that's not going to work. It'll be a decent fencing for the straightaway, but as soon as you get into here, now it's going to be that curve piece. Now people will fly right up on it, no questions asked. So we're going to rotate this, where we see that seam disappear. Okay, I used the wrong value. I make mistakes. I'm human. So it's going to be the pitch on this one. So you want to set this one back to 0. I mean, you always want to kind of pay attention where these numbers are at in case they're the wrong value, not the one you're looking for. That way you can get it right back to where it needs to go. Now we're going to override this. We're going to lift this up where these seams will match. And the trick with this, you want to get the height right. But you also want it to the height's a little off. We're going to lift it a little bit. So when you're pushing it in, you want it to be like this. You want it to have a little bit of a gap on this far side because you're going to be driving the track this way. So if you hit this edge, it's not going to brick you. Now, if you didn't do that, and you tried something like this where it looks like it's, perfectly in position, it will brick you. I promise you, the way Rockstar props are, it just will fuck you up. So you want to get it to where it's basically one click just inside it. Now you're going to check this top side, kind of eyeball it, make sure it's the same. It looks pretty good. So now we're just going to shift this in where just the edge of it will be where those rumble strips are. Now you're not going to have too many issues with the entry of the corner, but the exit of the corner, if you do it like this, you will have an issue, and you're going to need to make it to where this side is higher, essentially. Because, like, imagine this on the other side. If you were coming out of here at super, super speed, and you come up and hit this point right here, if it's not higher than it is right here, you're going to fly right up on the tube. It's going to cause issues. So you want to try to eliminate issues and really noob-proof kind of any track. That'll be good right there. This will give you just a better idea of what it looks like when it's actually on here. Again, testing is everything. So place these walls. Don't be afraid to get down here. See, like this, I even fucked up right here, and this is probably going to brick because you see this little bit sticking out here. So you just test it. See, it does brick. So I was too hasty when I placed this, and I did not check this end to make sure that it was good. The world heading probably just needed to shift a little bit, but you want to avoid that, As you can see right here, it doesn't really pop you up there. So we'll forgive that little small mistake, and I'll show you here with building blocks how to kind of do it. So in general, with these NASCAR corners, the best one that you're going to want to use, you could use the 1x5s or the 2x5s. Generally, you want it to be, this height is a decent height for a NASCAR track. You can bring it down to where it's only, half of this, or it's only one of those squares popping out. But in general, this is a good height. And the 5 long is it's a good length to where you can put these on here. It'll cover up a little bit of the top of the track, but it's not going to cut into it too much. If you're on a longer, like more wide open kind of corner, you're going to want the 9x11. So this is 4 squares longer, and as you can see, this would cut into the track a lot more. You see how there's that chunk that you're cutting off? Now if you switch back to like this, you're not cutting off so much at all. So for all intents and purposes, I will just show you how to do it like this. And what I like to do is just lower it on here. Again, you're going to have to cut into that tube, so keep that in mind. We're going to go something like that. So I'm going to lock it in by switching the rotation type. Now that should be at an 18 degree if you go into rotation. See, it's exactly at 18. So if we go to 98 degrees, it will be a completely vertical. So back in the day, we used to have to use the side of buildings as reference, and we didn't have override, so we had to do our best to get it perfect. So this is completely vertical. For a track like this, at an almost 20-degree banking, it's a terrible idea. Really at any track that's NASCAR and has a banked corner, never ever build the walls vertical. Don't do it. So I have devised this method to get a perfect catch fencing in place. Since we know that's 18 degrees, we're just going to add 18 onto here. Okay? So if we added 2110, it'll be 108, okay? So at 108 degrees, this will be exactly perpendicular with the track surface. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to bring it back another like 10 degrees. So we're going to go like 118. Another 10 degrees is a good idea, but you can go 15 or 20. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. But as you can see, this is going to serve as more of an efficient catch fencing. So I'm going to get it in kind of into place here where it goes. Again, you can use like the 1x5 or the 2x5 to save time when you're lowering all these in. But what I shoot for is I get all the rumble strips out of there. So that looks pretty decent right there. Of course, you want to pull it back to where it's just biting into that tube to stretch the gap out and save props. Now again, if you're going to use triangle to rotate this, get away from that banked corner for sure. You don't want to go deleting props. So like I said, the one square is really going to be sufficient. Looks like the pitch is a little off, and that is because this is a straight piece coming into the banking. So you just go in here, and this is at 0.4. Let's put it at 0 and see what it looks like. Not sure why that was at 0.4. Oh, because I copied the angle, and this is actually going up a little bit. So that's what that was. We'll get it at 0, and now it looks pretty right the fuck on. Now we'll just go back into here. With this edge, you want to make sure it goes all the way into the tube. So if you are going to do about one square high like this, you want to make sure that the edge of that goes all the way into the tube, just like that. And then you want to go in here. It's a lot of fine, precise kind of adjustments that you need to make to get it perfect. But once you get this piece started, it'll be easier from here on out. So like this piece, you want it to where just the rumble strips are exposed. I leave a little bit of the white on the top, so in the edge where the corners meet, you see the white on the bottom. It just looks nice. So I adjusted the world heading. It was off a little bit. Now we're just going to go in here and... Yeah, I definitely agree with you. The delay is stupid because I tell you about something, and then you literally have to wait like 15 seconds for it to actually pop up, which is pretty stupid. Definitely.
It's confusing.
Okay, so that's right where it needs to go. You got just the rumble strips exposed. Got about one square high. It's at that 118 degree. Boom, place it. So, like I said, I'm going to go back here and switch to the 2. Actually, the 1 to save props. Or save time, actually. So again, lower it down on here, copy that angle. Now you just want to eyeball it from here. Make sure you're right where you need to go. Switch that rotation type to lock it in. And you just go in here to rotation. We're going to set this, make sure this is at 0. That will fuck you up. If that's at 0.2, by the time you get to the end of the corner, it will be much lower than it was before, or higher, depending on which side is tilted. But yeah, we're going to switch this to 118 degrees. Okay, so yeah, like I said, 118 degrees here. You want to make sure these numbers are identical every single time. World heading, obviously you can't get it.
Oh, gosh dang it.
I'm just eyeballing it here. Looks pretty decent right there. So now I'm just going to override position. I'm going to pull this up to where it's the same height here. Now what you do with this rotation, or this, I'm going to put it to where it's just inside each other.
There.
And then you get it to where, bam, just like that. See how it looks perfect? That's where you want it. Rumble strips are still hidden. I'll just place a couple more of these just to show you this technique, and then I'll switch to a couple tubes, and then I'll show you how to build like a, I don't know, like a basic pit stop and a couple grandstands. But if you watch this stream start to finish, I promise you, you know, if you're the type of person that can watch somebody do something and go and do it yourself, you will learn how to build a legitimate, proper NASCAR track in GTA, I promise you. So again, with this rotation, make sure this is at 0. That's your pitch. You don't want that fucking up. And then go ahead and do this at 118. And then again, bring it over here. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to override the position. When you have them flip like this, the first value will be your height. But I would say, you know, fuck with the second value. Make sure the edge of it are just past each other like that. Bring it in to where it's perfect. Then you get the height right where it needs to go. And just make sure the rumble strips are indeed covered up. And then just keep on pushing forward. I guess I'll just do one more just so it looks like a decent chunk done here. Just going through the same motions here. Get it on there, lower it down, adjust the world heading to where it's kind of where it needs to go. Override rotation. Get your first value at 0, which is going to be your pitch. Second value, which would be the roll, get that at 118. So it would be handy, you know, since there are a lot of numbers involved here, go ahead and have a little notepad handy. Write down the numbers, you know, write whatever the roll is or whatever the pitch, X, Y, Z, just mark it down. That will be helpful. So if I was to push triangle right here, it would definitely delete this whole banked piece, which would be catastrophic. So again, be careful with the triangle button while you're near a prop template like this. Okay, so that's kind of a good example of catch fencing using building blocks. You could use that same exact technique with the neon blocks. And you see it cuts into the track a little bit there, but it's not too bad. You see, if you hit it, it will push your car down. It will not allow you to go on top of that at all. All right, so now I'm going to switch over real quick. I'll show you with the tubes. Now, like I said, the tubes are very, very finicky. Whether or not you can effectively use tubes as corner walls in a NASCAR track is going to directly depend on the shape of your corner. So you're really always going to want to go with 30 degree, but as you can see, this is going to cut into the track. Not too much, you know, this actually wouldn't be a terrible option here, but ideally you want it to only cut into the track a little bit, because as you can see, like where this fencing is, it cuts into the track very, very, very little. It basically only hides the white stripe on the top, and when you're building a track, you want to keep that in mind. You want to keep, you know, the width of the track intact at all possible, or at all points, really. So I'll just show you right here, if we were going to use this as catch fencing, it's going to cut in the track quite a bit. But I'll show you real quick here, just so you can see what I mean. sure this pitch is at 0. Okay, we're good. So you will see a dip too. If you use the tubes, you will see like a visual dip in the corner there. And that's just because this is a circular kind of prop. And you're putting something flat over top of it, really. So world heading is way off. Go ahead and adjust this a little bit. The key with creating anything, though, is time and patience. You know, it takes a lot of time to build a quality track. It's just the nature of the beast, and if you don't want to spend a lot of time building a track, you should probably never build tracks, because you should just never build them, because it takes time. So if you don't have time, or you want to rush through things, creating a race in GTA is not for you. I promise you that, because you're going to get angry, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to build a substandard product. People are going to tell you about it, you're going to feel butthurt and heartbroken, but they're just telling you the truth because you didn't spend enough time required to make a quality track. You just rushed through it, and it's like anything in manufacturing. Time equals quality.
That's what any product made in China lacks.
Yeah, I know, right? Quickest, cheapest product we can build.
Yeah, get a ton of kids to work at a sweatshop, get you some Nikes, iPhones.
Oh yeah. The Apple plants are like one of the fucking worst, man.
Yeah. And Nikes. Nikes are pretty bad.
Definitely. So, as you can see here, this is not going to work. I mean, it's just not going to work. There's just, if you look at just how that edge looks right there, it looks terrible. I mean, you don't want that. Yeah, you might be able to save a couple props doing it that way, but I mean, just look at how far. I'll just sit here for like 10 seconds. That just looks horrible. So bad. If you look at this, where these meet, it's beautiful, like that's the way you want it, really. So 9 times out of 10, building blocks or the neon blocks will be your best bet for sure. You see how this isn't really catch fencing either. I mean, it kind of is because it's lower in the seam, but you can still kind of pop up on it, which is bad. You don't want that ever. Just changing these colors real quick so you can see. You won't even see the transitions. It'll just look like a legit NASCAR track. Okay, so now I've kind of walked through the basics here. So what I'll do here is I'll show you how to build a pit lane. Now, keep in mind this is not going to be perfect. This is just to kind of show you all how to build it. So I have a couple different ways that I build my pits. 9 times out of 10, I'll run with this method right here. I'll just do a straight piece in the middle. Get this world heading nice and lined up. Okay, so I'm going to get that in there. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure it's far enough out here to where it's going to be, off that straightaway. Now you could do one of two things. You can do just a rumble strip, which for realism factor, I would suggest if you do it this way, make sure this building block is like gray. If the track is black, make it gray. If the track is gray, make it black. But make it more of a realistic, even white, wouldn't be too terrible. Might blend in with the rumble strips a little bit, but you want to make it to where it's a realistic if you're going to go this route. If not this route, you go one click to where you just see the track there. And then you snap on another piece here. Always override, make sure you got no seams. Now with these, if you know you're exactly one click up, well hey, that's not gonna there's still a seam. So see, you gotta watch that. You don't want any fucking seams. Seams look ridiculous and unprofessional. So see there's no seam. You can go ahead and place that. Then you go into a corner piece. So here's where it gets interesting. So I would say something like this would be a good idea just for a real quick and easy pit stop. There we go. Real quick and easy pit stop. Oh, there's a little seam there, which, you know, don't do that. Don't place props like that. But if you absolutely have to, you know, if you fuck with it and you can't get it to where there's not a seam, at least you're going this way, so you're not going to see it. You know, it's not going to be a bump or rough at all. You know, you won't see the tires. Well, tires move a little bit. You're not going to really see that, but in general, no fucking seams. I'm actually such a perfectionist, I'm not even going to let it stand. I'll fix it. And being a perfectionist and being OCD and tweaking out on things and trying to get them perfect, you know, that's a skill. If you want to become a skilled creator, you got to do it. You got to be kind of a tweaker in that aspect, and you got to just tweak out on things and trying to get everything perfect, because your work will reflect that. You know, the product that you produce will reflect how much time you put into making it perfect. So you see how right here, 30, it's a little too much. We'll try like a, see that, I don't really like the curve on that. So if you're out of position, once you build the track and all the walls, for sure, build the track and then the walls, and the platform underneath, obviously. Those are three vital elements. Platform, track surface smooth and perfect, transitions all good, and then build the walls. Those three things you want to do before you think about putting any pit lane in or grandstands or anything like that. The track comes first, always. Remember that. So this is going to take a little more props than I really wanted to use on a pit lane that I normally use. But this will provide a nice little pit lane and a you know, a little runoff when you're coming out, because the exit will be identical to this essentially. All right, so that's good right there. So you see how it's just the rumble strips on the inside. I don't really like how that looks. You know, if you wanted to tweak out on it, you could put one more corner piece right there or something like that. But in general, this way right here will be good. Come around the corner, you see the rumble strips. Come down on pit lane here. Okay, so since we don't have another corner over here, I'm just going to kind of snap a prop together just to kind of show you. So ideally, when you're placing this middle piece right here, you want to get it perfectly centered in the track. If you do, whatever pieces you snap onto it to come into the corner will be identical on the opposite side. So basically here it would be, you know, snapping this one in. Which, as you can see, Rockstar is difficult sometimes, you know? Sometimes props don't do what you want them to, because Rockstar is a bunch of shitheads and they love making creators' jobs much more difficult. So it's okay. Turn prop stacking off at that point. You can use this as a reference. Get it nice and perfect just like that. Get it to where it's close. And simply override position. You see it's a little off here. Alright, that looks pretty good from that side. Looks good there. Fuck you, Rockstar. You will not defeat me, motherfucker. Alright, so same as the other side. Track bend XL. Snap them on there. I think it was because we snapped on the other side of it. Sometimes it does some weird stuff where the prop becomes dead at that point and you cannot snap anything else. So from here we went to a 30. Hopefully Steven and Chicken are still watching. You guys like to build NASCAR tracks.
It only shows 2 people, so it's me and someone else.
Whoever else is watching besides B, if you could say something in the chat, let us know you're here. Unless that's you, Finn.
What?
Is that you watching?
No, I'm not anymore on that.
Okay. Well, it's not Finn.
Could be Wig.
Could be. He's in the party, but he's probably talking to himself right now.
Oh, he's playing Skyrim. Holy shit! I need that game.
Okay, so as you
I'm
can
gonna
see, that's
clear everything off my Rockstar editor real fast.
as you can see, this will be the same exact entrance that you got here, coming into the pit lane. Same entrance as you will have the exit. As you use the same exact props, all that, everything's smooth, no seams, none of that shit. So I mean, I kind of
That's a
like.
really good pit lane.
I mean, I kind of like the way that I did it here. I've never really done it like this, per se. But how you see how like right into the corner, you kind of come into the pits, like just starting into the corner, you're there.
Yeah.
It would be opposite over here, so you would be coming out of that corner, and it would alleviate a lot of like pit lane exit contact issues.
Yeah. I'm gonna do that on my Nashville because I know in Nashville the pit entrance starts like in the turns, but like at the end I saw a map. It comes out like almost as soon as it hits like the exit of pits. Like as soon as it hits the exit of that strand. So.
Yeah. So for this one, just keep in mind you cannot split the start finish line checkpoint. So you could not put the start finish line here. Start finish line would have to be here, which I kind of fucked myself because I might be able to get a trigger somewhere in here and maybe put the grid down, but I need to show you that here in a second. This is the lower side though, so that would be easy to do. But anyways, let's continue on with the simple pit lane method. Now a lot of my tracks I use this method. Go with the tire one, go with the long one. Reason why is you have that fence right there, so if you lower all that green and white wall down, you'll get just the chain link fence there.
I mean, I hope you know I can't see, like, I don't understand what you're saying because it's off by a lot. So you'll say something and then I'll just get to see it a good minute or like 10 seconds later. So.
Yeah, it's probably like 10 seconds or so, but you still should
Yeah,
be able
it's
to get
around
the
10,
idea.
15.
But if you go back and watch the video, there's not going to be a delay in that, right?
Yeah, there's not gonna be.
Okay. Yeah, because you can
Or
always.
you could just like leave the party and listen to the stream though.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Or just like
I could
your
leave.
headset.
Yeah, that's true. I could leave the party.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so.
Well, yeah, it's only like 10 seconds.
Okay. So right here, we'll build it somewhat centered. I don't know, a little bit then, an hour or two. Okay, so you lower this down to where that green and white disappears. And essentially, you want this covering up the rumble strips. Really, you want to bring it in probably to the white line or even just cover up the white line. The reason why is the stop sticks. You don't want anybody trying to cheat the stop sticks. But, you know, you kind of think, hey, if I'm building a NASCAR track, okay, so really you want to cover up the white with that right there. That's as far as you want to go. But if you're building a NASCAR track and people are actually going to take the pits, you would think that they're not going to be douchebags and try to go around it. You know, they're going to run some league race or something to where, yeah, they're definitely not going to cheat it. So something like that there. So now, go in here, flip this around 180 degrees. Now, you could have marked down where the world heading was in override rotation, the last value, Z, and then you could have simply added 180 onto it. Or you could just do it like this, because we lined it up with the same exact thing on both sides. So it was right there on this side. You see how you got the color. Yeah, I never thought about that. This whole fucking video is kind of stupid now because I think there will be a delay because I'm in the party, right? Or when it uploads, there won't be.
When it uploads, there won't be a delay.
Okay, so now right here, you want to get this. You want to get this fencing to where it basically comes out where that is, somewhere in there. Okay. So that's just going to be.
Well, my iPad's about to die.
You can always watch it on your system. The links are in the chat. Okay, so that's a good way to build the pits. The problem with this, okay, so like I said, the reason why I covered up the rumble strips with these fencing, if you go in here to stunt special, slow down track. Now you see the raised track is not as wide as this one is. So this is going to be perfect. No one will ever be able to cheat it, even in a fucking bicycle. It just won't work. So ideally you want to go, you know, center of this, but a really cheap and like, you know, not using too many prop kind of method for the stop sticks is three stop sticks. Okay, so you do the first one, going to be weak. So if we're using 3, we'll go right here to the center and we'll move over about the width of a stop stick. Okay, so you don't need to override for these. You can actually just drop these right into place. Boom. Change this to normal. Now what I like to do instead of placing it like this is I'll put it in that last line there. Something like that right there. You can always override to get those lines perfect. It only takes a second to do it. Boom. Switch this to strong. Do the same exact thing like I just showed you. And boom. I mean that whole pit, you could use some like dynamic props to seal these up, but really you want to use some solid signs, which only takes 2 props. You want to put one here like this, and you want to put one like right here like this. Okay, so that way it's like a funnel, and there's not going to be any brickable edges like this. You can't just leave this shit like this. You can't. That's a big no-no. If someone could impale themselves and kill themselves on this, that's not good. You don't want to kill any drivers with your shitty track. You don't want to do that.
You don't want to also give them whiplash off your horrible transitions either.
Yeah, transitions need to be smooth.
Or the banking. You also don't want to give them whiplash on the banking.
Yeah, the banking needs to be smooth too, and again, that's depending on how high it is. You just got to play with it and figure out how far you can put each prop from the previous one for it to be smooth. Like this is pretty smooth right here. You would put something in the middle back there so nobody would cheat it, but check this out. Slows you down, very gradual. That's the technique you want right there. That's it. That's a real simple, easy kind of pit lane solution. And then I'll show you a quick tip that I use when you place weapons. Apparently I can't place weapons. I'm gonna have to place I'll just throw this grid in over here, just real quick. Now we should be able to place weapons. I'm not sure why it does that. You can place every other prop, but you can't place weapons until the start-finish line is down. So, if you see the bottom of the screen there, you can use that as a reference. You want to get your camera around to where it's pretty well in line with it. You might not be able to get it absolutely perfect, but something like that will work. And you go in here to weapons, go into your health, and then you basically just go as far out on the corner as you can go. Find that little spot, place, and then you just shift it over, place. And I would place 30 of them just in case, even though it's not realistic, 30 people going in the pits at the same time needing the things, but you never know. You know, certain leagues might do it a weird way or something. But yeah, you basically just place this until you got 30. Say if you had like 2 left over, I would say just find the center, move it over one way, place it there, and then place it there so you center them. Same thing if it was like 3. You know, if it was 3, you would do the one right in the middle and then 2 on the outside. But simple little thing there. I'll just show you what I mean about this. We'll just do these right here. Almost. So yeah, almost done with this tutorial. After this, I will show you how to do some simple grandstands and a couple decorative props. Show you some cool tips with those, not just your run-of-the-mill basic prop placement. With these, I like to go down to where just the rim of it disappears. Okay. Now you're going to want to push this in to where it's just at the edge of this. But you want the edge of the green sticking out a little bit like that. Okay. And you probably want to do a little lighter of an angle too, so that this will be in the middle, or it won't be sticking out in the track. You could do it to where it's real gradual, and it just goes to where, like, say the green is, and then you can put something here so people don't shortcut. Yeah, people do it. People are fucking douches. You can't put anything past anyone, because they will surprise you very swiftly with their douchebaggery.
Do you know of any way to duplicate a prop?
I do know of a method to copy a prop. Like if you're talking about getting the same prop with the same exact angle, I can do that.
But like, without having to like either create a template, never mind. Template would be a good way.
Yeah, template will be good, but the way I'll show you is definitely a lot easier.
And I heard that fidget spinner.
It's life.
Push it in just like that. There you go. That's
No, not my American flag fidget spinner. So.
There's a little funnel just so people don't try to cheat it. Kind of a cool visual effect as well. Okay, so that's kind of how to do a basic pit stop. You could use building blocks instead of these, and what you could do is put it right outside the rumble strips, I would say, but you would have to use more than one of these. So if you didn't use this method with the walls on the road, you know, you could use the raised stunt track too. That's a much skinnier road, which will kind of fit these, you know, these stop sticks here. You could do that where you lower it to where it's just the rumble strips, or, you know, just the track itself popping out, like I said, one click above this platform here. But you want to think about the edges of it being right where the stop sticks are. You don't want anyone to be cheating that at all, okay? Alright, so now I'll show you just like a simple grandstand kind of method. So this will be the stunt and race track. The prop of choice will be the stunt track start grid 30. This will be the longest piece available in this category. You want to line it up here, world heading. use this straightaway as a reference. Okay, so now that you're right there, center of the track will be somewhere in here. Get it about where it's going to go. You're going to go in here and override rotation. The second value, you can put it right here at 45. 45 is a great angle where it's like stadium style. People will see it, but you got that track piece hanging out on the top. So we like to say fuck that. So we'll go to 90 degrees will be flat. 180 degrees will be 180 will be completely vertical. So we'll just add 45. That's 225.
Yeah. I have 3, I think, yeah.
That's 225 there, and we'll just get it like right in there. And override position. Now we're going to lift it. We'll shimmy it down a little bit. So, see how it sticks through there a little bit. You don't want that at all. Never that. So always lower it to where that grandstand will be just outside of the track and you won't see it. So what this will do is the excess, you know, you can cover up excess real nicely with any kind of like tail pieces sticking out, like the one we had over here. I mean, these transitions come out to like in here somewhere. But with these, you will not see them at all. Can't even see where it went, but it's there. So yeah, I mean, you could place it like that. You could lower it down a little bit and make it a little more sleeker if you want. You can shift it over and make it centered. We're going to bring it off of that one angled piece there. Almost there, almost. Okay, so right there
That's a
should be
good
good.
10-second delay.
I mean, that's just a simple way you can make a one prop kind of grandstand. You can make it higher if you want, you know, just fuck around and experiment, you know.
I'll be right back. I gotta go put my iPad on charge.
Alright, so what else? See, I could put it over here. Okay, let's place the trigger here. Okay, just throw it in there. Lobby camera. You don't see anything there, but I promise you when you're in the job screen, it'll look nice. But this won't be a track. This is merely an example. It would be kind of strange having a 3 degree on one side and then having it completely vertical or completely banked on that side. That would be very strange. And I don't even think with the props that are here, probably couldn't get all the walls and the, you know, the corner pieces and all that stuff in anyways. So, but you know, I did build these kind of strangely with the not making them so perfect. So it's whatever. Are you back, B?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, so it looks like we'll be able to place it right in here. That's on a 3 degree banking, but let me show you. Let's just make it like 2 people. See how it won't let me place it there, B? This is the problem you're dealing with. This is an 8.
I have nothing to watch it on because my iPad's dead.
Yeah, go on your PlayStation. Go into the RMPR
Actually, here,
chat.
I got my phone right here. I got my phone.
Or you could just go into the RMPR chat and just click the link, man, the YouTube link right there.
Yeah, but then I have to deal with PlayStation being just slow. My PS4 is still the original model.
I'm getting emails that people are subscribing to me. I've never got. I mean, it's only a couple people, but still, it's like I didn't know they did that. Huh. Must be a new feature. That's pretty cool. Or newer feature, anyways. All right, well, let me know when you're back, B, because I'm going to show you with this, this two-person grid here. I'll show you how you can get it on the bank surface.
Okay. I'm on it. I'm watching it on my iPad and my iPhone.
Okay. Here in about 10 seconds, you'll see it'll let me place it on that 3-degree banking, no problem. But as soon as you transition to the 18, no can do. Won't let you do it. So, all we're going to do here, we're going to switch it to a small grid. We're going to make it motorcycles. We're going to switch off that stunt grid layout. Now, it might do it for the large grid, too. Nope. See, it won't. Okay. So when we go to the small grid and you see stunt grid layout, it won't let you do it. As soon as you take that off, hey, look, you can actually fucking place it. So, place that. Now I'm going to go in here and save it. Now I'm going to go in here to race details, select large grid, go in and just select all the classes real quick. Besides, I don't do utility or cycles. And special, obviously it has to be one vehicle to make it that. So now we'll just go in here. Oops. We'll just place a checkpoint so far away. Now we can actually go in. Oops. Now we can go in here and test it. You'll see the bike is. Okay, so now when we switch this from motorcycles, you'll see that's small grid glitch. That's where you can get, a non-contact is the only race you ever want to do this on. But you see how that's all smushed together there, right? Oh.
Well, if I would stop freezing up.
Okay, well, I'm going to switch this to super real quick. And this is where the trick comes in. So this is the method I use for, all of my bank surfaces where you have to get the fucking starting grid on there. So just change it to super. You see they're super smushed together. All right, now I'm going to go in here to checkpoints. Now if I pick this up, make sure stunt grid layout is set to yes, then I simply press circle. You'll see. Now that surface that it didn't let me place a large grid with a regular car, didn't let me place that starting grid there, but it did do it with the motorcycles. Now I've glitched it into basically giving me what I want and letting me put the start finish line there. You see that?
Well, my phone's froze up and.
Okay, well when you come back, you'll see these are kind of flat and level. These cars are sticking off, being weirdos. So what you can do is go into test. You'll see it drop, bam, just like that. And now, just because you did that test and it dropped it down, now when you exit the test, it's some kind of weird glitch where now, hey look, they're actually on the bank surface, looking right. So keep in mind, this is very helpful if you're going to take a cool picture of, the cars sitting on the banking or whatever. I want you to pay attention here. I'm going to turn all my display off just so you can see this. You see they're actually on the banking at an 18 degree here. Now when I snap this picture, I want you to keep your eye focused on that furnace right there. Keep your eyeball on it.
I'm not sure if I can. My phone is froze up.
Well, what you missed was it goes, after you take that picture, it goes completely back to looking all fucked up and vertical. So keep that in mind. If you're taking a picture, you got one shot only. So that's how to get the checkpoint on the bank surface, dramatically bank surface, I should say. Now there is going to be a limit to even that, how how high you take it, and if you see half the grid disappear, you know, just repeat the steps to get the small grid in there, and all you do is you tilt it a little bit. You know, you'll see it when you, I'll show you right now. So basically, if you were to fuck with this, just say we added a bunch of people, now you see they're all on the track. If this was a more bank surface, look, you see how it just disappears. You want to make sure all the cars are on the track. Even if they're red, you can glitch it into doing what you want. Now I'll show you one more quick thing here. You go into the stunt and race track. You see this stunt track start line grid 16. There's also a 30, but you just want to use the 16. This is where the Fukaru sign comes into play. I'll show you this quick tip. Yo.
What is that noise in the background?
Finn?
Yeah, it's my dog snoring. Let me
Okay.
mute my mic. Yeah, I'm gonna mute my mic.
I thought it was somebody in disbelief in the background. All right, so right here, you want to get it lined up. Wherever the start-finish line is, you want to line that up. You know, if the start-finish line was over here, you would line it up with this. But since it is right here, you want to get that lined up pretty perfectly. You kind of use that transition. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in here. We're going to override the position. And we're going to flip this up. Not flip it up. We're going to take it to the 18 degrees that banking is. So 342. Okay, now we're going to sink this bitch in. You got to think of creative ways that you can place props that's going to look cool, be feasible, you know, be able to actually do it, but also just be like different, you know. So this is one thing I usually incorporate these into my NASCAR tracks for the simple fact. What's going on, Dylan? Doing a little live stream NASCAR creator tutorial. Links in the prospects chat if you want to check it out.
Dylan's a little bit slow.
Oh, doing a little live stream. If you want to check it out, check the prospects chat. And then also, if your party settings, if you could please set it to always allow voice to be shared. Thank you, thank you. All right, so what we're doing here? Are you still watching, or what's up, B?
My phone is freezing up, and I tried, but I usually try and watch stuff on my PlayStation. My PlayStation's no better. It freezes up all the time.
Yeah, you just click the link in the prospects chat. It should go right to it, man. No problem.
I know, but it'll freeze up. That's what I'm.
It'll freeze if it's playing a YouTube video. Which you got the original PlayStation ever made? PlayStation 4?
I have the original model.
All
like,
right,
not the first one ever made, but I have, like, the original.
Okay, gotcha. So, look, right here, I'm basically placing it. You want to place this, any kind of fancy thing you do like this at the start-finish line, you want to keep in mind that you're going to trigger that start-finish line before you actually get up to it. You know, this guy right here would trigger it. So you want to put whatever kind of gantry or, you know, start-finish line prop you got, you want to put it back a little bit so that people will basically go under it as they're triggering start-finish line. There's a little Fukaru sign. It's at the 18 degrees, just like that banked corner there. Yeah, I only did one corner here.
Mozilla.
What's up?
I'll probably be able to watch it like a lot yesterday. I probably won't be working on much of my track till tomorrow. Just want to take a quick breather before I get in on all that advanced stuff.
Yeah, definitely go watch this video, man. This video.
Yeah, I'll
will
watch the
definitely
full
help you.
video without all the delays tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you'll learn a
And then
lot
I'll
better.
probably... Yeah.
I hope there's not a delay in the video, man. I
There
don't know.
shouldn't be. All the other times he's done a live stream, it was in a party, wasn't it?
No, see that's the thing is I mainly am in game chat because whenever we always have more than 8 racers joining, so there's no reason to be in party because everyone
No, like
needs
a
to be
live
able to
stream,
hear each other.
your GTAO creator tutorial live
Yeah,
stream.
yeah, I was in there, but it got muted. But yeah, I've been in some Gran Turismo Sport beta live streams where I was in a party. I don't know if there was a delay.
Yeah, I signed up to see if they'll let me do that beta. I registered for it on PlayStation.
Cool. Well, that's pretty much it from here. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want quality jobs on GTA Online, search RMOB, all caps RMOB on Rockstar Social Club. Y'all take it easy.